Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another Sarnetta TV House of Consciousness production. You already know what it is. We are right here on Black News 102, and I am here with the founder of 100 Law Enforcement Who Care. I know y'all familiar with that, but I probably said it wrong. He's going to get it right. Say it for us, brother. Let them know who you are.
Michael Graves, co-founding member of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. And
did y'all hear that again? Say it one more time so they can hear that.
Michael Graves, co-founding member of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. And it's an honor to be with our brother Sarnetta, who does so much for so many in Harlem, the village of Harlem where giants are made. It's good to be here.
Thank you, brother. 100 Blacks Law Enforcement for those who care for our people. This brother been on the grounds for a while, and we're going to get started right after this intro. You already know. Let's get it.
Sarnetta TV, Sarnetta TV, yeah. I wanna listen to see. Oh, I wanna listen to Sarnetta TV. Yeah, you gotta tune in, y'all. Tune in.
Right, they probably did it again. Hopefully they right. So, peace and black power to you, my brother. How you doing, man?
Blessed and highly favored. You're trying to make my word my bond.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, man. You do so much for us, brother. I mean, I do appreciate you, man. How you been? Everything all right? The family?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything's fine. And again, it's an honor to be in the village of Harlem with Sarnetta. And brother, you know, I just want to tell you from the outset, just appreciate your work over all these years. You can't be on 125th Street and not know who Sarnetta is. It's literally impossible. So, you know, big ups on all the work you've done over all the years and all the people you've made. And you've helped so many people reach a level, and unfortunately, some might have turned their back on you, but, you know, that's a part of life.
Right. It's all good, man.
Right.
You know, I can't keep them here forever. You know what I'm saying? You got to, I mean,
right.
Shape and mold them, send them on their journey,
yes, sir,
and let them continue to do the work.
That's right.
And that's what they've been doing. So
that's right.
Shout out to all those who came through the House of Consciousness. And my brother, I want to, let's talk about some recent issues that went on. We know about the 8-year-old girl. She was 8. Her father been molesting her since she became, you know, of age. What? How old is she now? 13?
She's 14.
14. Okay. Yes. So her father been molesting her after he had lost his wife.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy. Sad story that I heard through over the internet, brother. And you was out there with them sisters. You was out there. You know, you do what you always do. You're a community activist. Talk to the people about that, because we got the people watching right now. Give us some update on what's going on.
Well, the situation is, let's understand from the outset that the Black church is the most independent institution we've ever created in America. This was the boat that rowed us through the seas of slavery, the radical Reconstruction, Jim Crow, black codes, every form of racism one can imagine, every challenge one can imagine for people yearning to be free. The Black church was there. Now, the high side is that certainly the Black church has always respected and revered their leader. You know, whoever the pastor of the church is, whoever that steward is, has always been uplifted and respected. The bad part about it is that sometimes that same type of clergy person can give in to corruption, exploit the money aspect of the church and make it a business where he profits, can run around with a lot of women in the church, which gives it a bad image. However, in this particular situation, this person has manipulated things to a point where it's a legacy of rape because his father raped children in his church. He now, who took the mantle over from his father, has in turn raped his daughter over the last 4 to 6 years, repeatedly. This is unfortunate. There's no way in the world the black community should give cover and credence to this brother. And I'm using that term brother very loosely right now because he's an animal. He's the lowest of the low to rape a little unprotected girl. We have to be sensitized to protect our community. And to the extent that whether you're related to that person or not, you should have to have a sense of values, a sense of community to protect that little girl with the same level and dexterity that you would if it was your own child. So in this particular case, 100 blacks in law enforcement who care want to see this clergy person prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We want justice. You know, he can get help later once he's locked up and secured behind bars for as many years as humanly possible. Then he can get whatever help he needs. But right now, it is not sympathy we're asking for. We want justice. We want to see this girl now. As we speak right now, members of our community are showing love and respect to Sister Imani. We shouldn't even know her name, but we know her name. I won't give her last name, but good. Sister Imani, we got to show her that we love her. We got to show her that she did not make a mistake by revealing what happened to her. She dealt with it and the trauma involved with it for years. It was only to the point where she was told to usher that day after coming to the church that the family saw something was wrong. The family did not know that something was bothering her, even though they saw her behavior change. They probably assumed that this is just part of her growth and development, that she was changing somewhat. But they didn't know until they asked her to go to church, which she did not want to do. And then they asked her to put on an usher uniform and do the job related to being an usher in the church. At that point, she resisted. And when they got into a fervent discussion over why you're not willing to be an usher, it all came out right there on the church floor in front of everybody, where she said she had been raped consistently for years, and she was fed up with it. It all came out automatically, to the surprise of even the family. The family didn't know. The parishioners in that church did not know. And the pastor didn't know that she would have the nerve to say something like that publicly in front of all the church members. But it all came out in one fell swoop. She said it and broke out obviously in tears and crying. But she said what had been happening to her for years.
How does something like that happen for years without the family knowing the signs? Like, talk to us about what are some of the signs that you think we really need to look out for, brother? Well, so this don't be continuing to happen.
Well, just think about it. That is a person of authority in her life. The same way priests who have a long history of raping boys, fathers in the church, these church priests, the Catholic Church has a long history of it. Why? Because that person is a sort of spokesperson for the Pope, and Pope is supposed to be a spokesperson for God. So, unfortunately, in the Black church, we revere Black clergymen because they have a long history of standing for us. You have to remember, the Black church was a place you can go if you needed a coat, if you needed clothes, if you needed help with respect to the White Citizens Council or the KKK. The Brotherhood of the Church traditionally would have a prayer meeting at your house. If they knew that KKK was coming that night, then they would say, you know what, we're going to meet at brother so-and-so's house. Now you got protection. And it was done in such a way that over the years, it has been the most independent institution. It needs no white dollars. It needs no white agreement with respect to how it conducts its church doctrine or its policies. It reads directly from the Bible. It needs nothing from white people. It needs no leadership from white people. Therefore, technically, it's very independent. And in that independence, that makes the clergy person, the pastor of the church, the leader. And then, unfortunately, in this particular case, this leader has gone awry. I don't care how well his sermons are. I don't care how well read he is. I don't care what degrees he might have or what schools he went to. It doesn't matter how many sermons he's done all over North America. For him to be able to just in an animalistic way rape the little girl. Yes, it's his family, it's his daughter, but he does not have that right. He might miss his wife. He might miss his wife. His wife, he might have loved his wife. Who knows? He might have loved her. But now he can't continue these sexual acts that he probably once had with his wife on his daughter. It's not made that way. The family structure is not of that order. He does not have that right. And then it would be better had he had a consenting adult and he did something with, at least that's feasible and understandable, because you're talking about a consenting adult. But a child, no man anywhere has the right to touch an 8-year-old child, a 10-year-old child, 12-year-old. No man anywhere has that right. Consequently, that pastor's out of order. It doesn't matter how well he preaches or anything else or what he's done. He might have done some good thing somewhere, but it all falls to the side once you rape that little girl. All your good deeds mean nothing, and you should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But it's developed because right now, as we speak, Brother Sinette, it's one thing you need to know. There are members of the church who are threatening the family members for exposing this.
What?
Now, in case you didn't know, they are members of the church. They're getting calls saying that you did X, Y, and Z, and certain things can be visited upon you. So now the family member should not receive threatening phone calls from anybody, because what righteous member of any church condones rape? Irrespective of who did it. But right now, as we speak right now, the family's receiving threats. And the little girl, you have to remember, Imani is a victim in this. She's feeling bad. She's feeling she did something wrong by putting out this information, and they're making her worse. So they're raping her a second time by making her feel she did something wrong. This is why members of our community are taking her to basketball. She loves basketball. She loves sports. I think this Wednesday or Thursday, they're taking her to a Nets game. So she's going down to the Barclays Center. She will be chauffeured by car to the Barclays Center with her brother.
Well, brother, check this out. What about some powerful solutions now as she's growing? Because if the family don't get her these solutions and these, trying to get her the attention that she need right now, the therapy she need right now, is going to be crazy as she get older. She need that therapy right now. Have you heard of anything like that yet?
No, I'm glad you said that, because right now we showing her love.
Okay.
We have people that are surrounding her, letting her know you're a good person, that you're going to have a good future. Your life is in front of you. You've done nothing wrong. And that's why they're taking her to the game, because we had to check with her to find out, what do you like? When you're not in school, what do you like? And she loves sports. So they're taking her to the game. They're going to chauffeur her to the game, her and her brother. They're going to, after the game and during the game, she's going to be able to eat whatever she wants. They're going to give her spending money to do whatever she wants to do with it. And then, as you point out, and I'm glad you pointed that out, Brother Sinetta.
Yes, sir.
She's going to have to receive professional attention, because it's one thing to show her love, but it's another thing to diagnose what's wrong and then get to the center of the problem.
That's the important thing. The most important thing is right now while she's young. You don't want to wait until she get older.
That's right.
The damage will be done already. Right. There you go. So now that we're on this topic, before we move on to the Donald Trump shutdown of the government, the R. Kelly situation. Talk to us about the R. Kelly. What do you think about the R. Kelly documentary? Have you seen it?
I saw parts.
Have you heard? All right. Yeah.
And I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah. Now, hold on. I ain't gonna front. I mean, I was loving. I loved R. Kelly music, man. Sometime when I hear it, I still bop my head to it. Right. I gotta probably weed myself. I ain't gonna front. R. Kelly's a talented brother when it comes to that writing.
Yes, sir.
But like you said, raping and molesting, ain't no exceptions to that. Ain't nothing. I mean, you got to go down for that. You got to pay for that.
You squander whatever good deeds you've done once you rape. Now, R. Kelly, the amazing thing about R. Kelly is that he's very talented.
Right.
He's a throwback to when brothers used to really sing. Now, this music now, the producers really can make something out of nothing.
Right.
They know beats that you like. They basically can manipulate the sound and make you sound decent, even though you don't really have the ability. Well, R. Kelly is one of them that have great ability. He knows he has family members that have been professionals going back to the 60s, the Isley brothers. And isn't he related to the Isley brothers?
I have no idea.
Because his name is Kelly, and I know that the Isley brothers, I think one of them was a Kelly, but whether they're related or not, I know that he comes from a musical tradition.
Yes.
You can hear it in his voice. You can hear it in his sound. He is very talented. Unfortunately, all of that is squandered and pushed to the side when you see a pedophile like that. You can't have these acts on 14, 15-year-old girls and then somehow pay them off and then still continue to be supported. Our family members across the country need to understand you have to have a value system. This violates every African value system that we have. So even though the brother might say one thing, he does another thing, and it's consistent. He has shown over the years. Now look at Sister Aaliyah, I think 15 at the time when he married her. No more than 16.
Right.
Now look at how long ago that happened to Aaliyah. That's been a generation or more ago with Aaliyah. So if he did that then, he has showed a clear pattern of disrespect because if he was doing this to white women, he would have been in jail a long time ago. But he's doing it to black little girls.
Yeah, you already know.
Unfortunately, that's why he's been able to get away with it, because he's a man of means. He has money, and he can pay them off. And if they don't testify in court, then oftentimes it goes away. Now, obviously, district attorneys do not have to let him off the hook because at some point a person refused to testify. Because if you have the evidence and they at some point during the case refuse to show up because they've been paid off, even then, he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. No black man should be allowed to rape little girls, regardless of how talented you are.
I agree. All right, brother. Let's jump right into the main topic, man. And what a lot of people want to know, Donald Trump, the shutdown of the government. How does this shutdown really affects black people, our people? Because some people, the revolutionaries out there, they happy. They like, yeah, shut it down. But they missing the whole point. You can't be selfish when it comes to your own people.
Well,
somebody gave us a statistic the other day and talked about how many blacks was no longer getting their government checks and stuff like that. And it's even getting ready to affect some of the welfare, the food stamps.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I think they dropped food stamps Friday last week.
Right.
And I heard people was calling everybody, yo, you better spend them before this is up, before this time is up, because they're going to shut it down where you won't be, the system is going to be shut down. So talk about that, how it affects us, man. Let's go into that.
Well, see, I'm hearing what you're saying with respect to brothers that have that revolutionary spirit about them, to know that the government is not running smoothly in normal circumstances is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, and I understand that spirit,
Right.
Where that's coming from.
That's right.
However, what about these black women who are living just at a subsistence level where they have to make choices between food, medication, electric bills, rent, and the like? So when you have those situations in front of you and you have to balance, because every mother will feed a crying child that's hungry, and they'll do whatever it takes to do that. That's just the legacy and the history of black women. They're going to feed their children one way or the other. And unfortunately, we don't want to see women going into stores boosting. We don't want to see women having to do things out of character to get money. And we should not want to see brothers taking advantage of that and getting allowances from women that they normally couldn't get because of this situation. Now, you have to understand the laws that are being affected by Donald Trump. Donald Trump is there because of, from a white perspective, the stench left by 8 years of a black family living in the White House. They were so against President Obama's 8 years in that White House that they have gone to somebody that does not have the professional acumen, does not have the professional temperament to be a president. He does not have the discipline, and certainly he's not a statesman. No diplomacy at all. He curses. He referred to black men that play football as sons of bitches. Disgraceful. That means
I remember
he
that.
called our women bitches.
Right. I remember that.
So for him to do that, for him to say, ask for a black vote at one time, saying, what do you have to lose? That statement has a little merit. But we see now you have a lot to lose. Once he puts in a person like Sessions over the Justice Department, and black men and black women and children were being killed by law enforcement agencies at a high level, now it's reached an epidemic level. So, yes, we have a lot to lose. You see a black man shot in Hoover, Alabama, basically trying to help people while there's another shooter on the scenes. He's trying to, and he's a young veteran of the armed services, trying to remove people from the area. He had a licensed weapon on him. Law enforcement comes in, shoots him on the spot. He's not in the commission of a crime. He's trying to help people get out of a mall area in the danger zone. He gets shot. The police department turns around and accuses him of being the shooter. The people there said he wasn't the shooter. He was helping us. They in turn said, well, he was working in concert with the shooter. And so this shows you what the dangers of a law enforcement going awry, how it happened. So he went from being the shooter to an accomplice with the shooter to being exonerated, but they tried to tell his family he brought that on himself. Why do you have a situation where all of these black men and women all over the country are being shot unarmed, not in the commission of a crime, and you say, well, we will look at this case, and then you see at the same time these law enforcement agencies give these cases to a neighboring law enforcement agency, like the white woman Geiger kills a black man, Jeans, in his own apartment. She claims initially that she thought she was going into her apartment and she made a mistake, but she consistently lied throughout the process. She said that the door was locked, but her key opened it. Well, now we know that her key can't open his door. Then she said the door was ajar. it was unlocked. It was unlocked, but it was ajar.
Mm-hmm.
She lied about that. So she went from a locked door to the door was unlocked and opened with her key to the door being ajar. 3 lies, all systematically, one after another. And then she claims that she saw a silhouette, gave it verbal instructions, claiming that she saw a silhouette in a dark apartment. And then she discharged her weapon, killing this black man. But the neighbors heard her demanding that he open the door. Right. Obviously, this was somebody that had some kind of relationship with that black man. Right. And when she demanded that he open the door, he eventually relented and opened the door and brought death to his doorstep by letting her in. And she just consistently lied. And then the Texas Rangers were given the investigation. So, you just have these situations where our people are being shot consistently all across the board. And the reason why I'm mentioning these cases is because once Sessions was appointed, Sessions is the Attorney General. Now, obviously, he's just been replaced after 2 years of service in that job. But he is the racist of the highest order. This is Dr. King's birthday. Dr. King's wife, Coretta Scott King, wrote a letter in 1986 when he was going to be appointed in that area as a federal judge. And she said he does not have the temperament to be a federal judge. He is a racist of the highest order and should not be empowered to ill affect the lives of black women and children and men. So I'm just saying that to say that this is the type of person that the president is. So now he shuts down the government to force the Democratic Party because of a promise he made during an election. Now, the election that the election promise did not make sense when he said that he would build a wall to separate North America from Mexico, and he said Mexico would pay for it.
Do you think this was a plan from the beginning?
This was definitely a plan,
yes.
And this is something that you have to remember. He has think tanks. He has staff. Miller is still on his staff. A white supremacist of the highest order is one of his close contacts. They are constantly at work, dreaming of ways to ill affect black people. Now, white people will find a way to make sure white mothers will be able to feed their children. That allowance will not be made for black women. Black women will be prosecuted if they are stealing, if they are involved in any level of corruption. It's going to affect our people 10 times as much. When white people sneeze, black folks get pneumonia. It's going to be much worse on us.
Yes. Okay. The Make America Great Again, the slogan that people hear, a lot of people think that this is a racist meaning. I mean, do you think that Donald Trump is now in the process of doing his best to make America great again?
Well, when he says,
I mean, not for us. Of course, when we say that, we know it ain't talking about us.
Right.
But for
when
them.
He says, make America great, it's like old white guys talking about the baseball league.
That's right.
Saying the golden age of baseball. Well, when they talk about the golden age of baseball, they talking about the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Well, black men were not playing baseball then. It was an all-white league. So when they talk about the good old days, they're talking about before Jackie Robinson entered in 1947. So when white people, especially white supremacists of the highest order, when they talk about good old days or they talk about a golden age, a great period of when America was really America, they're talking about when white people were in charge of everything and black people knew their place. And that's what they're talking about now when he says, make America great, a statement that he really got from Ronald Reagan, because Ronald Reagan was an old time racist. And this is now his time. So he's saying, make America great. And he wants to show white people that he is the great white father. So this is why he constantly went after Colin Kaepernick in football. This is why he's blaming everything that you can see in America that's not right on President Obama. And when he says make America great again, it's almost like you walking into a KKK rally and you hear all of them yelling and screaming. Well, if you see flags, if you go into any building, any room, and you see flags waving wildly, they waving American flags, black man, step out of that room. Get out of that room real quickly.
Right.
Because that noose is coming soon.
All
right
right.
behind that flag.
All right, brother. You yourself having inside information of law enforcement.
Yes.
What do you do to prepare young black youth about racist white police officers that's in there? How do you prepare our youth today to interact with these racist cops? Like, say they pull you over. What should we expect as a people?
We started in the 1990s.
Okay. I remember.
What to do when stopped by the police. Why? Because so many young black men, whether it was Nicholas Haywood and so many others, Clifford Glover, Randolph Evans,
Amadou Diallo, all of this.
Yeah, and then even in the 20s, Amadou Diallo,
Sean Bell,
all of these black men were killed. None of them were in the commission of a crime. None of them were threatening anybody. They were all unarmed. So we said we're going to start on our own time training young black men and women and young adults how to negotiate and interface with police officers and then be able to get back home to your family. So we told them, stop furtive movements. Stop touching your hands around your face.
Because they scared to death of our youth.
Stop talking with your hands. Do not keep turning around if you're driving a car and police are behind you. Stop turning around looking in your mirror at the car, because they will take that as you got something to hide. If you have a late model car, a police officer comes up to you, we tell them immediately, turn off the radio. I know we love music.
Right.
And that's fine. But when the police officer comes to your vehicle, turn the music off, not down. Turn it off. Roll your windows down. Immediately place your hands on the wheel so that he sees your hands there. Now you might say, well, you giving in too much. You're doing too much. All we want you to do is be able to get back to your family at night.
There you go.
Our young men have a martial spirit, and we understand that. We brought in a generation that ain't scared of anything. We understand that. They're made to fight. We have young warriors that have listened to the words of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and others, and they're willing to fight for what they think is right and won't allow you to disrespect them. We're saying, while you do that, understand we want you to get home to your family. You can put in a complaint against any police officer, but we want you to get back home to your family. We don't want you to experience what Randolph Evans did at 14. Clifford Glover, 12 years old. No, 10. All of these young men who were killed at an early age were not in the commission of a crime. So that's why we started What to Do with Stop by the Police. Every time we talk to our youth, we tell them, look, man, don't say anything, because nothing you say can stop you from being arrested. But things that you do say can cause you to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law based on something you said that you shouldn't have said. Be quiet. Call your parents with that one phone call, or your guardian, whatever you have, and let your parents get a lawyer. If you saw the prosecution of the Central Park 7, I know some of you out there say 5. It's no such thing. It's Central Park 7.
I never heard of the 7.
Yeah,
I know the 5.
Well, yeah, but we're listening to a white narrative when we say 5. They prosecuted 7 young men, and 5 of them were given some recompense in the long run after they were incarcerated. They received between 5 of them about $40 million, but it was 7. And just in case you don't know, I want to destroy that myth about the 5 real quick.
Right.
The facts is 7 were prosecuted. Now that night when they after the beating of Patricia Neely and rape of Patricia Neely, they locked up in excess 30, 40 people that they just was grabbing youth in various precincts over Harlem. Well, eventually they isolated it down to 7 young men because they were just snatching people anywhere in Harlem unnecessarily. Those 7 young men were officially charged. Now, they forced them, good cop, bad cop, that scenario, had them make a statement saying, look, you can go home that night, but just tell me what he did. I know you didn't do anything, but just tell me what so-and-so did. Didn't so-and-so hold her legs down? Oh, yeah. Wasn't so-and-so pressing down on her shoulders, holding on her back?
Yeah, because they was kids and they were scared. And they were just saying
They were scared. They were, everything from sleep deprivation, food deprivation, shining lights in your face.
Now, let me ask you, have you ever been afraid of your life? Like fearful, like they might try to do something to you? Because I remember years ago when Officer Adams was a part of your movement.
Yes.
And I heard the story. I read it in the newspaper. I seen it on the news where somebody shot in the back of his car.
Shot the window out.
And the window came out. His head was all messed up in the back of his head. You can still see the scars to this day.
Well, that scars are not from that. But window, the back of the window.
Now, he was also a police officer fighting for black people.
Yeah.
Like doing what you're doing right now.
He's a co-founder of 100
Exactly. So do you sometimes be fearful of your life, or do they try to set you up in certain kind of ways?
Well,
brother?
when all is said and done, I'll just say that, I believe in God, and I believe that God will protect us as long as we doing what's right. And any fear factor will not create a chilling effect in 100 blacks in law enforcement who care. We know from the outset what could possibly happen. We used to put dudes in a kitty.
Because, they say that blue wall of silence, these niggas over here, they with that snitching shit.
No doubt.
See?
So, this is all part of a commitment. We have to meet all of us where we are and develop ourselves. So we dealt with the most brutal mayor in New York City history, Giuliani.
Yeah.
And certainly he had Police Commissioner Safer following us around. We found that out and challenged them in court that we was being followed. And they had to admit they were following us. They were tapping our telephones.
Damn, look at that.
They did all that and couldn't find one thing on us. And that's one thing when you're in the struggle and you're in the movement, you better keep your nose clean and be upright and do everything right, which we did. So they couldn't find any criminal things on us that they could even call us in the court for. So, I think that we did the right thing. There's always a concern, and there's always a concern for any whistleblower. Look, they were upset with us when Omar Edwards, a young black cop on 125th Street, was killed on 125th Street, 2nd Avenue, leaving work, walking to his car. And part of this narrative is from the white cops who actually killed him. They said that his car was being broken into by a Latino career criminal. So he ran over there to the car. The police jumped out of their cars in plain clothes and ended up shooting Omar Edwards, killing him. Now, they say he reached and trained his weapon on police officer Dutton. Dutton claims he aimed his gun at him. They aimed their guns at each other. Well, there was never any proof that that Omar Edwards unholstered his weapon. And the fact that he's saying they were facing each other, it was no face-off because Omar Edwards was shot in the back. Now, we got that information, and I won't say how we got it, but we got the information that he was shot in his upper back, lower back, and his forearm. Well, we could have held that information and not said anything. But when you have a crying mother in your arms and she's crying on your shoulder, what else do you do but tell the truth? So we had to come out and oppose NYPD and say that this man was shot in his back by cowardly police officers who chose to shoot him, and then they thought this was part of a criminal element and that they could definitely just write this off as just a clean shooting until they went over him, and when they turned him over and they saw that he had an NYPD t-shirt from the police academy on, they went into his pockets and found his ID and shield, and they realized they just shot a police officer. Did they grab him and rush him, which he could have been to Harlem Hospital in 2 minutes? No, they huddled. They all got together. They called
That's
one
how they
PP
do.
and planned on, well, how do we cover ourselves? Black officers told us later that was there, told us they stood at attention in one little group while the brass stood in another group planning on how they're going to cover this while Omar Edwards was bleeding to death on the ground. It took them 25 minutes, approximately 25 to 30 minutes for EMS to arrive, therefore taking them to the Harlem Hospital. You know full well a police officer shot on the spot. They don't wait for EMS when the Harlem Hospital is right there. You throw him in a car, and 2 minutes later, he's in Harlem Hospital's emergency room. They could have saved his life. He was killed, and then they covered it up, and the police officers who worked with him, that stood at roll call with him, gave us this information. They were not in a position to fight it, but they asked us, will we fight for justice for Omar Edwards? So I'm saying that to say that in these particular situations, we got to stand up. And this is why we had a good relationship with Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad.
I already know.
remember
Khalid,
when
y'all secured Khalid Muhammad.
Yeah, and we testified in court when NYPD under Giuliani's went into the mosque.
Mhm.
We testified after with respect to the Million Youth March.
Right.
So we have a history of standing with those that stand with us. And there's no better brother that I could think of more sincere, more dedicated to the elevation and freedom of Black people than Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. So when that brother told us, he said, look, man, you ain't got to make nothing up. Just testify what you saw happen, what you know that happened. And that's what we did. And I just love the brother, Mr. Brother. I know it's Dr. King's birthday, but Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, something else, brother. And so we have to, as a people, have those who that's been put here for that purpose. And we believe that we've been put here for that purpose. So we told the truth with respect to what happened in court. And certainly we challenged NYPD on what happened to Omar Edwards. And unfortunately, they went to their playbook and created all these machinations and to cover it. But Dutton knows to this day that we'll never forget what he did. Okay,
my brother. Powerful information. Thank you for doing this work for our people out there on the ground, boots on the ground. 2 NYPD detectives allegedly raped and sexually assaulted a woman in a police van. Are you familiar with that?
I think you're talking about the one in Coney Island. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, oh man, that was crazy. 2 detectives assaulted and, raped a woman in a police van.
Well,
if that's true,
which one.
Allegedly.
I should say which one.
Okay.
When you mentioned the van,
right.
I'm thinking the one in Coney Island. Yeah.
Okay. If that's true, do the police protect these people? Because, when they do something wrong, why do police always got to cover it up? It's like they forget that they got family members too. Why do the police cover it up for them? It's and protect these people.
It's the nature of the job. It's the culture of the job. When they say do the right thing, that do the right thing means protect your fellow officer irrespective of what he did,
But what about protect and serve, though? They just forget all about that right there?
Brother, that's just language that's used, But the thing about that is, I remember the situation that happened in Coney Island where they drove her around for a little while very attractive sister.
Right.
And they told her that the charges, I think, she had a little bit of marijuana in her purse, and they scared her. You know, she's very young, scared her, and very attractive. Scared her into thinking that she's gonna go to jail if she don't, do what they wanted done. And one guy, I think, wanted her to exercise fellatio on him, and the other one wanted sexual intercourse. And so, that was done with the threat that if you say anything about this, it's gonna get worse. And that, that's eerily like the case in Oklahoma with the police officer who raped 12, 13 black women over the course of 4 or 5 years, was raping black women ad nauseum, and was able to get away with it because he was threatening them, and even went back a second time and raped one sister that was 16 years old, went back and raped her a second time. And fortunately, he raped a sister who was never in trouble with the police. She didn't have a record or anything, and her brother was a police officer in the neighboring town in Oklahoma, and he instructed her on what to do, and they was able to lock him up and put him away for years. But unfortunately, police officers do have a way, it's in the culture, to look out for each other. And look, the Jason Van Dyke in Chicago was just convicted and sentenced to 7 years. Now, you would think that would be a victory, but when he killed the young man, that young man was just walking in the street.
You mean the one that got shot 16 times?
Yes.
Well, they gave him 80 months, but he only do half of that.
Yes, he's going to be out in less than 7 years.
That's crazy. No, three years.
Okay, yeah,
I was just looking at it. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, but when they say it's less than 7, he's going to do about half of that.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
So if it's 6 and change,
right,
as a police officer, he's going to do about half of that. Then they're
going
to let him
crazy,
go
right?
for good behavior. Now
they shot him 16 times. Bro.
Yeah. Now the thing is with the McDonald shooting, the thing about it was he claimed that McDonald charged him with a knife, and that he had no other option other than to shoot him. But you see the video, you see him with 3 other cops. So 4 cops were walking in unison, and yet only one unholsters his weapon, pulls it out, and starts shooting. And he emptied his weapon in McDonald's body while he was upright, while he was down on the ground. He's still shooting and killed him like that brutally. And then when they discover that there's a video, one of the videos was in a Burger King, or McDonald's or Burger King, right across the street. They went in there, confiscated the video, and changed it right on the spot. And yet the other video was from, it must have been from either a vehicle or somebody's telephone, got what really happened, and yet he was convicted. But the thing that people don't realize is that the 3 other officers who wrote along with him on an official document that he was being charged at and lunged at with a knife, they were not convicted of writing a false report. The judge cleared all of them. They were charged. The judge cleared all of them of their criminal charges and just put Van Dyke away. But all 4 police officers should have been locked up for what they did. And that didn't happen. So we should not look at this as a victory because one of them went to jail, and he's only going to jail, like you said, for half the time. Because actually, for second-degree murder, you're talking about he should have gotten at least 20 years.
Facts, man. Real quick, what do you think about the sister, the black woman, man? Shout out to her for even attempting to do something. What do you think about Kamala Harrison running for presidency? She's a sister that's out there on the board in California,
right?
And she's running for presidency. beautiful light-skinned young sister,
Yes.
young lady. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? And she's running. What do you think about that right there?
Well, I think that she has a history. She's
If Trump could do
Okay,
it, goddamn it, she could do it, man.
right. But here's what
You know.
she is. What is called a consensus candidate.
Uh-oh.
What's a consensus?
Yeah,
candidate?
what is that?
It's a candidate that has no history.
Uh-oh.
In other words, you ain't did nothing for black people.
Mm.
You've never doing it. So white people don't have a beef with you because you've been with them the entire process. So this is why when you look at Tish James, right here in New York, she's now the Attorney General of New York State. She doesn't have no history.
Oh, my man George Macon in the chat room say, "Oh, we don't support her. They don't support her."
You should. She has no history of supporting black people.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, we're into a shallow skin analysis where we see a black person running for something and say we got to support her.
Right.
You have to do your homework and look at her history. All these brutal shootings in California, all these senseless attacks, women, black women that are incarcerated, they're taking their ill effect in their birth thing so that now these women can no longer have babies at 4 different prisons in California. She was quiet on that. They got a program going to just take away that ability. They whatever it's called, to just do it. I don't know what the program is called, but they have a program where in California where they've been doing that for years. 4 different female jails in California. She was quiet on that. All the abuse, all the years of what happened to LAPD, and then you look at all the other smaller police departments. She has no history of standing for black people. She's a Democrat. She is a die-in-the-wool Democrat first, black woman second or third, somewhere in there, but certainly nowhere near the allegiance that she puts in. She puts in the allegiance for the Democratic Party, just like Tish James here, who's now gone from councilwoman to public advocate, and now she has the highest law enforcement job in New York State. She's the Attorney General. Well, you say that, what has Tish ever done? She got Person of the Year, not Woman of the Year, Person, period, of the Year from the Amsterdam News. But you say, well, what did she do? Absolutely nothing. She is a die-in-the-wool Democrat like Dinkins and all these other guys. They're Democrats first. They're not black first. They're not black men or women first. They're Democrats. They do for the party. If the party say go, they go. If the party say come, they come. If the party tells them to be quiet and cherry pick the issues you want to talk about, that's what they do.
All right.
And that's why Kamala Harris or Tish James or any of them, we should not support them strictly because they look like us. They can look like us, but they ain't our kinfolk.
Do you think we as black people should have a military mindset?
Absolutely. I put it this way. What other people can sojourn somewhere for 400 years, people that was taken from their native land, forced to work for centuries for nothing, families have been torn asunder, firstborns, secondborns, thirdborns, sold into other states, taken from their mothers. That's why it didn't move me in a significant way when I saw the sister at HRA, them snatching a baby out of her hand, because we've seen this movie before. Name me a period ever in North America where black women's children weren't taken from them. So it's always happened. It's been happening for centuries, but we get emotional when we see something on television where police officers are snatching the baby from, but that's something that ACS does every day, take children from black women. So I'm just saying that they can run for office. They can sit in these seats of power, but they have no power because they don't represent us. They're elected officials. They're not representatives. If you are a real representative, then I'm representing you. But if I'm an elected official, I'm looking out for me.
Right.
And that's what the black elected officials are. They have a comfortable job that they stay in office because they don't fight white people. Adam Clayton Powell was a one-man army, fought the white establishment, fought in the halls of Congress, and brought home the bacon for black folks.
Right.
Here we got 40 or more Congress people now that are black, and they do nothing. As a matter of fact, look at the Democratic platform. It has nothing about black people. It has things on immigration. It has things on gay rights. It has nothing for black people. How could you be in a congressional black caucus and look at all these planks, look at the platform, nothing for black people, and you an elected official and you represent us, but nothing in the Democratic platform is for us, and you've convinced us we thinking that the Democratic Party is for us and the Republican Party is for white people. And yet Democrats and Republicans are buddies on Capitol Hill. They ain't fighting each other. They got the white folks got an agenda. Yes, it is more typified in the Republican Party. But what did Nancy Pelosi say when Obama was under attack all them years? Absolutely nothing. What did Schumer said? Nothing.
Is there anything that you do agree on with Donald Trump? For example, the wall or something like that, where you stop all these other races from coming in, taking over, killing up people.
I think if he talked long enough, we might find something that I agree with, because a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's right.
So it might be something that he might say that has some merit, because the devil, in order to deceive you, he has to give you some truth. So there might be something at some point that he does that might benefit black people a little bit, but that will only be collateral damage, because what he's doing in one area might give some relief in another area. But as we speak right now, I'm concerned about black women being able to feed their babies, and certainly black men should be a part of that process, certainly. But I'm just saying, worst case scenario, I don't want to see black women deciding on whether they feed their family or whether they pay their rent, or whether they can do both or neither.
Is there a such thing as population control? And if so, what? What is that all about?
Well, it's always happened. They have eugenics organizations all over. It goes back to the 20s and 30s, where they were doing experiments, and certainly the Tuskegee experiment. Certainly that in South Africa and other places they were doing experiments on black people, thinking of different chemicals you can put together, toxic things that can kill black people. Even with white people around, it will only affect our people. They've done things with genes. It's a long history of population control. That plan was developed, Rex 84, going way back during the time of Nixon, upgraded during the time of President Carter. So yes, they have all sorts of things, and certainly in Africa and places like that, where they do the AIDS virus, Ebola, and all them things. These are all population controls, because they can give you the numbers of how many people they want on the planet at any given time, and at what time the sections of the black people have to be eliminated. So that's definitely on the agenda. That's definitely.
Why do you think? Why are we as black people? Let me see how I'm gonna word this. Why we as black people are not as militant as we were in the 70s, brother? What happened to us?
Oh, man,
we went to sleep, brother. I mean, remember Bobby Hunt? And these were teenagers.
Yeah.
They was on the move. What happened to us? Have the white man opened up and say, yo, let's get these niggas some cars. Let's get these niggas some jobs. And, we can rock them right back to sleep. Make them think they getting somewhere.
Well, but definitely, you answering your own question.
I know, but Dan, let me be quiet. Let me ask you the question. Why do you think we are not as militant as we were like in the 70s and the 80s, brother? What happened to us?
Well, you have to remember that we have a martial spirit. We have a military spirit from birth. It's in us to defend our women. It's in us to defend our children.
Mhm.
However, over the course of time, you have to remember that going back to even the clergy person, they have trained our clergy people to follow them and to discourage any black man or woman to defend the black community. They have now made civil rights a business. So all the major civil rights organizations all feed from the same trough. They receive funds, and basically, once you receive those funds, you are being told what to do by the white power structure. So you have a situation where, whether it's the National Action Network, whether it's CORE, NAACP, all of these, a Rainbow Coalition, all of the major civil rights groups, all the leaders are millionaires. I didn't say some of them are millionaires.
Right.
I said all of them are millionaires. They are in the civil rights business, not the civil rights movement. Dr.
Right.
Khaled was in the civil rights movement.
Right.
He was in the human rights movement,
Right.
not the civil rights business. So it's a whole different thing. I'll give you an example. In Hoover, Alabama, when the black man that was just killed by Hoover Police Department, the police department and the mayor refused to meet with the family. The mother, the family members refused to meet with them. Well, what happened? Once the activists in Alabama said, you know what? We're going to boycott this mall. And the mall was getting ready to be boycotted. What happens? The white folks call NAACP. Now, the NAACP that was not defending that family against the murder by the police department now comes in, negotiates with the family to now meet with the mayor and the police commissioner, who initially would not meet with them. So they used a black man on the city council, the one city council member they have who was a member of the NAACP. Now the NAACP is in the room convincing the activists to not boycott the mall. So they weren't in it at all, similar to what Malcolm said when the Kennedy administration wanted to take over the March on Washington, and they said, boss, we not a part of that. They said, well, I'm going to make you a part of it. I'm going to put you in charge of the March on Washington. It's the same way the mayor in Hoover told NAACP, come into the room, be a part of that movement, and then misdirect them or redirect them. And that's what they did. So now they're not talking about boycotting the mall. So that's what they do with our martial spirit. You have civil rights leaders that always spoke ill of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, always spoke ill of so-called militant organizations, even spoke ill of organizations like SNCC that had ferocity, maybe not the militancy of the Black Panther Party, but they were serious about their business. So I'm just saying that the civil rights leaders are the ones that convince black youth, no, don't do that, don't do that. This is the way to move. So between the church and civil rights organizations, now they call anything you do progressive. And things that are not progressive, things that are backwards, they call it progressive. So whether it was Bernie Sanders, he's supposed to be progressive. He just as racist as the rest of them. The Clintons, Bill Clinton, Secretary Hillary Clinton, all racist. And we look at them as somehow they're for black people.
Right.
We have to define and our own selves. The principles of Kwanzaa talk about self-determination. So we're supposed to be self-determinant. We should not allow white people to define our reality or tell us, look, they have right now Tamika Mallory trying to make her condemn Minister Farrakhan in the words that they want to hear. So Tamika Mallory said she doesn't agree with everything Minister Farrakhan says. They in turn say to her, but do you condemn him? She says, I don't agree with everything he says, but they say, do you condemn him?
Right. They want to
Because
hear
they
her say
want
yes.
condemnation.
Right.
They force black. Look, Jesse in 83, 84 sent the Hymietown statement here in New York.
Right. I remember.
Now, for years after that, he was still going all over the country apologizing. How many times do you apologize for one thing? That's why, even though I'm not a fan of Kevin Hart, I'm not a fan of his comedy, I have to commend the brother for saying, I'm not apologizing for something I apologized for already. He whatever the statement he made. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with you saying, I don't want my son to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing offensive.
I think it was
about
a
that.
joke too.
But he
was
cracked the
saying
joke. He cracked the joke. But comedians have license to crack jokes.
Exactly.
Comedians talk about black women, you know, how they roll them over, how they hit it, and all this other stuff. Talk about black men. They talk about clergy. Comedians have the license to talk about any situation and make it funny. How do you apologize for jokes about gay people? Why do you have to do that?
Why they got to be special?
Right. Why? Yeah, why? So he said, I'm not apologizing again. And they told him basically, do you want to host the Academy Awards? And he said, you know what? No.
Is it the Academy Awards or?
I think it was the Academy Awards. It was an awards thing that he didn't host. Now, I commend. And
it already went down already?
Yeah, it already happened.
Oh, okay.
And he refused to be the host.
Good.
Because he said, I'm not apologizing again. Because basically, they told him, look, if you apologize, we can still make this happen.
I thought it was the Oscars. It was not the Oscars?
I think the Oscars and the Academy Awards are the same thing.
Oh, okay. The Oscars and the Academy Awards? Okay.
I think that's the same thing.
Okay.
For actors. And so he refused to do that. Now, Jesse Jackson apologized for years for his Hymietown remark. I'm saying there comes a time when you got to stop apologizing. Everything that's happening is happening to us. Mm-hmm. What white men apologize for anything they did? As a matter of fact, if you tell white people you were the beneficiary of centuries of oppression of black people, you know what they say? Well, that was them.
And, you know, a lot of the Negroes, they all wanted an apology for slavery. I think they still didn't get that yet, did they?
Well, you know, I don't, you know, as a matter of fact, I don't want to,
I don't want
white people
to
apologize for slavery.
Well, let me ask you this.
Give reparations.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Back in the day, white people used to buck break slaves. Do you think this is happening today? Like the brother that you just mentioned, Kevin Hart, Bill Cosby, Michael Jordan. I already think they broke Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Because he ain't standing up for nothing today.
No, he won't.
You know, you got the young boy.
How much money do you need before you stand up? Exactly. Now, he said.
So they still doing it today. How? Show us how. What do you think?
Well, one thing is what you just mentioned. But, you know, money.
Right.
Money is what motivated Michael Jordan to, you know, the selling of sneakers. He would not, I think his name was Gant. He would not back the brother in South Carolina where that brother could have won and removed Jesse Helms. North Carolina, Jesse Helms. Could have removed him. He ran for the U.S. Senate. Gant ran for the U.S. Senate, and he wanted Michael Jordan to support him. Michael Jordan said, I can't do that. And he said, Republicans wear sneakers too. So in other words, I'm not going to help you become the senator and remove a Republican, where he should have just said, brother to brother, yeah, I got your back. I got you. He wouldn't do it.
Damn,
now, over 20 some odd years later, probably closer to 30 years later, he's still making hundreds of millions of dollars and won't stand up for anything. And he's been roundly criticized for it. So what does he do? He gives after I'm trying to remember which brutal shooting it was. It was sort of like after what happened with Dylan Roof, where he killed the 9 people in the church, and then something else happened. And Jordan was like, well, they asked Jordan, where was his voice on this? He gave $1 million to the NAACP. I think it was an organization, either the NAACP or something like it, and then gave $1 million to a white police organization, a national
What?
organization of police. And I'm like, well, you think police need your $1 million?
Damn,
The white
right?
police need your $1 million, Michael, please.
But so is it our fault that we're not educating our
Well,
youth
well,
about this
well,
nut?
Well, here's what.
Because
here's
they
what.
still buying
I-
this thing because he come out with some old shit. The lines,
Yes.
people will be outside right now with 5 degrees out there
Okay, and
in line getting them
And
sneakers.
I would answer your question, Brother Sinetta, with a question. Have we ever challenged any black elected official for what they haven't done? Have we ever challenged a sports figure or anyone else for what they haven't done? We do not put people in Congress, in City Hall, in state government, and then say, what did you do? We just glad to see them. If they come to one of our functions, they walk right in the door, walk right up to the front, and sit right with the host because they automatically enjoy celebrity. Well, white folks, when they put people in office, white folks got to do something.
Yep.
So when you see a Jeff Sessions, when you see a Giuliani in office, he's got an agenda to perform. Donald Trump has an agenda to perform. He has to make white folks feel good about being white and then do the opposite to us, make us feel bad and be able to prove in a tangible way, this is what I did to black people when I was in office. X number of people went to jail. X number of cops was absolved of all responsibility in shootings. These are the things they do. So we don't challenge our own. We just look at it as you in office, you have that title. I mean, did any of us ask the Amsterdam News, what did Tish James do to become Person of the Year? I mean, we don't do the basics.
Right. Yeah.
So how do we expect youth to follow in our footsteps and do the right thing when we're not doing the right thing? That martial spirit in the youth, I can understand why they're saying, I'm not following this civil rights organization because y'all soft, y'all chumps, y'all ain't really about it. Because the example is not being set. And then they disagree with any bold black leader that stands up for justice and stands up upright for us. They in turn criticize him.
What do you think is the most dangerous thing about President Trump?
I think it's the people behind him that you don't know. Some people were in his cabinet that's no longer there, Sessions and others, Banyan and others, but Miller is still there. He is the think tank, the connection with white supremacist organizations all over the country. It goes through Miller. It goes through other people that he's surrounded himself with, and they in turn instruct him on what to do, and he in turn carries it out with his bully pulpit.
I think to me, I don't know. I could be wrong, but shit, I don't know. I'm going to say it. I think the most dangerous thing about President Trump is that all of these rich white folks acting like they going against him, but they really with him. They just on the sideline. They using him as a front.
You're absolutely right.
You know, so we may see them arguing with each other on TV, but in behind the scene now,
absolutely,
bruh, make America great.
Look.
Let's get it back. See, that's the most dangerous thing, I think, because our people are being bamboozled all over again, bro.
That's right.
This really hurts us. They got the millions. They got the money.
Right.
You know, it's affecting people like the welfare, the Section 8, the WIC program.
Right.
All of this
all
stuff,
that.
brother. So it make it so they'll step outside and argue with them in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Shit, we do that shit all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
It's so yo, brother.
Adam
So
Powell
to me,
said
that's
it
the
best.
most dangerous shit right now
Right.
that I see going on.
Adam
And our
Powell
people are
said it
falling
best.
asleep.
Adam Clayton Powell said, it's not what you say uptown, it's what you say when you downtown. So black leaders, when they in Harlem, yeah, they tell you what you want to hear. But what happens when they go down to City Hall?
Yeah.
Or a Gracie Mansion? Whole different ball game. Now, them people you see on Capitol Hill, they're arguing with each other. What do they say when the camera's not around? They having lunch and dinner with each other.
Right. There you go.
They
It's
in
the same, brother.
places.
It's the same way when you go into the court system. you got the DA,
Oh,
and you
man.
got the other one, and they act like they fighting
Oh.
against each other, but at the end of the day, they both get paid when that man go behind that cell. Both of them get paid. It's the same damn thing, brother.
Brother, I said the same words you just used
Uh-huh.
in the Amadou Diallo trial. I was
Wow.
up there in Albany.
Mhm.
I could not distinguish the prosecution from the defense.
Right.
They were one and the same. The defense was defending 4 police officers. The prosecution was supposed to prosecute those 4 police officers. Well, you could not tell one from the other based on what was going on in the court. And that's unfortunate, but that's the same observation I made in the Diallo trial. You can't tell one from the other, the same way you can't tell a Democrat from a Republican, and the same way you can't tell a black elected official from a white one behind closed doors,
Right.
because the white ones tell the black ones what to do.
Have you ever heard of this movement? And if so, what do you think about it? It's a movement called MGTOW. Men going to do their own way, their own thing. It's a movement. In other words, it's a movement against women. You ever heard of that?
Well, I've heard of log cabin Republicans where, these guys are gay, and I've heard of all types of gay organizations, but that's a new one. And tomorrow you get some other alphabet letters. I'll say one thing about all of them, these organizations. They are not part of the civil rights movement. To me, civil rights and gay rights are distinctly different.
Mhm.
We should not conflate the two. We should not be confused by the two and think somehow that, gay people are being discriminated against. Whatever discrimination they experience, they bring that, in a sense, is by choice. Now, I won't say they bring it to themselves. I'll say it's by choice because they make a decision. A black man is attacked just based on his skin. When you walk outside and that you in the crosshairs of any white supremacist that wants to take your life. As a matter of fact, there's a whole lot of discrimination among white gay people. They hate black people too.
Mhm.
There's a whole lot of judges, doctors, lawyers, military.
That's why they powerful, brother. I
and
be telling
they
people
gay,
that.
and especially in
Judges,
Hollywood.
lawyers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they all part of that white power structure that's against us.
Mhm.
So we can't walk lockstep with a person because they gay. They're also racist, and they'll be defined as white supremacists long before they're being viewed as a gay person. A gay thing is what they're going to do in their personal life.
Right.
As a white supremacist, they're going to destabilize the black community at every opportunity they have. And you have to remember the other part of Trump's power is the fact that he's in control of the FBI, CIA,
There you
the
go.
armed forces,
There you go.
the budget, everything one can imagine, everything that affects human life, basically has a political component. And the chief executive of this country is Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, talk to us about something went down last year, and I'm talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine. You being from Brooklyn, I'm quite sure you heard all of this stuff that's going on. Do you think Tekashi 6ix9ine will be doing a lot of time? Because we know how the FBI move. They've been following this young brother for a long time, the hip hop police and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about Tekashi 6ix9ine?
Well, I think whether it's Tekashi 6ix9ine or other rappers, I think for the most part, the FBI, local police agencies, they have no real fear of rappers, and even the rappers that they consider conscious or active, because if a rapper can say denigrating things about women, if it can say things,
listen to this, y'all.
Affect
Go ahead.
our community, well, how conscious are you?
Right.
If every other word out of your mouth is nigga ho bitch,
Right.
then you ain't dangerous. you're doing what the Klan wants you to do. When you talk about thugging and when I hit the spot, everybody know they better lay down. Well, you a beast when it comes to your own people. Well, how many people you step into that don't look like us? What white racist white supremacist organizations, what white militias are you stepping to? You want some points, you want to make some points, then step to them. There was a white militia that surrounded a couple of years ago. They surrounded the NAACP headquarters in Houston. And when they surrounded the building, they had high-tech, fully automatic weapons. They wasn't playing. They surrounded the NAACP building and demanded that they condemn Black Lives Matter. Now, they've since controlled Black Lives Matter. George Soros gave them $25 million, and then they got other money from the Democratic Party. So I'm just saying that when white folks have a problem, they're going to step to you. And whatever shooting at that time, because Black Lives Matter is a white organization. It's a white gay organization. It ain't controlled by black people. It have black faces, but they are controlled by white people, and they got a white agenda. They're not into protecting black people. They will go to a demonstration. There's 1,000 people at the demonstration. The media will hook up Black Lives Matter. They'll come out there, 1 or 2 people, put up a sign. They'll focus in on that sign and say that whole rally was called by Black Lives Matter to hoodwink you. You talking about being hoodwinked? Mm-hmm. They'll hoodwink you into thinking they're organizing against police brutality, against white oppression. They're not doing that. They are a white-controlled organization that's well-fed now by those millions of dollars that white folks are giving them.
How do you think we as a people can really make change? Some people say voting, we don't need to vote. I'm an advocate of we do need to vote. We just got to put the right person in there. So the only way I'm seeing, because we ain't going to do it through the gun, we ain't doing it through the violence. The only way I'm seeing is that if we shape and mold and like white folks do, they educate, they shape and mold theirs going through the school system and all of that.
Right.
We got to begin to do that. We are not political. We don't get political.
Right.
We are like children when it comes to the real issues, economics, politics. We don't want to get involved in that stuff. You got some of our so-called conscious people or some conscious leaders say, don't vote, don't get involved. Right. But see, we got to understand, brother, when you get involved in the voting system and then we begin to get our people in there, that's how you make and change laws and change rules and change the system. Like, for example, let's say we got you up in, remember Charles Barron ran for mayor? Right. I mean, everybody and their mama should have been out there.
He ran for governor, and I ran
but he ran for mayor too, though, right?
I ran for mayor.
But Charles Barron ran for mayor at one time as well. Yeah, come on, brother.
He ran for governor, I believe.
Governor?
Yeah, he ran for governor.
Okay, and you ran for mayor.
Yes.
Imagine if you was up in there, you become the boss of the police department. You become the boss of the school system, the fire department, and that's where we begin to change laws and make laws and curriculums and all of that stuff. Yes. That's what I'm trying to tell our people.
Yes.
We got to begin to think higher than that, man. Stop telling our people that our vote don't count and stop voting. We got to stop that.
Well,
man.
We have to vote.
Talk about that, brother.
At the same time, we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right.
So while we're doing that, we have to.
And you know what? I'm ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed of myself because I didn't know you ran for mayor. I didn't even know that.
I ran for mayor in 2013.
Oh,
Charles
man, what the hell was I doing
in 2010?
Man? I didn't even know that, brother.
Yeah, I ran on the Freedom Party, the same Freedom Party that ran Charles Barron for ballot status in 2010. The same Freedom Party I ran for mayor in 2013. And we were trying.
How did you do?
I did okay, but if I got all the votes that everybody had told me that voted for me, I'd be mayor now because everywhere I went, people said, "Man, I'm with you."
Are you gonna try it again?
I can't say that. I can't say that I won't. And
you got to do it again,
I
brother.
can't say anything right now. I'll just say that if the time is right and everything is right in order, we need somebody that's independent, that's not taking orders outside our community. And we don't have anybody in office other than Charles Barron that does not take orders from others. Everybody else, with the exception of Charles Barron, takes orders from others. But I'll just say that that we have to be politically active, sure, but we also have to look. Ancient Kemet, in the Holy of Holies, it says, "Man, know thyself."
Right.
Elijah Muhammad said it differently. He said, "Do for self." There's no better proof of doing for yourself than what you're doing right now, brother. You have a communications network developed by you. White folks ain't teach you a damn thing.
Right.
You've learned all this on your own. Right now, you in a position to communicate with people all over the world. Well, that's self-determination. You practicing the principles of Kwanzaa: unity, self-determination, creativity. You doing this right now. So you're an example of what Malana Karenga did with the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles.
Right.
You're exercising that now. Well, we have to follow suit with what you're doing and do likewise. You know, look at ourselves, create for ourselves, and return to our historical greatness, as the Nguzo Saba says. So certainly, if we teach our own, and that's why if we could stop what's being taught and develop a new curriculum, like you mentioned before, and to teach ourselves who we are, what time it is, and where we need to go, then you'll see a different black man and woman in no time. Because inside of us, you know, there's something special that white folks have to suppress. So they have to teach us to hate ourselves, because if we don't hate ourselves, start loving ourselves, white folks in trouble.
All right. I want to thank you, my brother, for taking the time to come all the way over here to Harlem to see your big brother. I'm older than you.
Well, here's what, brother. Let me tell you
big
something,
brother. Come, you might be bigger than me, but I'm your big brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now,
but here's what I just want to.
But what I want you to do,
brother.
hold on.
I need to commend
you. Go ahead, brother.
I just need to commend you, brother, because not only what you've been able to accomplish, but brother, you've been doing this so long.
Yes, sir.
Brother,
yes, sir.
To go from where you were and to bring minds, to get the best out of minds and have them on the stage together, sometimes challenging each other, allowing the audience to soak up one perspective and then the other perspective. All this you've done over the years, brother. You know, you in rarefied air to do what you do. There's not a lot of people, especially right here in New York, and this is the land of giants. Well, giants come from Harlem.
Right.
You know, Marcus Garvey and so many others, Adam Clayton Powell, all made their bones in Harlem. Here, you in Harlem, brother, doing something that other people haven't done. If we had more independent people like you, that's about it.
Right.
No, we be on our way, brother. So
Thank
I just
you.
got to commend you
Thank
for
you,
all
brother.
these years, because you could have done this for a few years and got so frustrated and said, "The hell with that."
That's right.
But you didn't do that.
No.
You kept going. You've pressed your way, as they say in the church. You press your way. You've pressed your way all these years, brother, and consistent as the day is long. And you all over the place, brother. You in Harlem, you in Brooklyn, you everywhere. So I just want to commend you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
whatever
that.
you edit, I need you to know that, look, man, you know, what you've done, some of us recognize is a good thing. And we don't have to agree with everything you said, but we respect the fact that you're working.
Thank you, man. So in closing, brother, for those of y'all who are out there would like to see more information from this brother, give them your social media, brother. Let them know where they can see you at.
Tune into Community Cop. That's Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Community Cop every Tuesday, 5 p.m. on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You can go right to your computer, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And if you miss all that, just go to YouTube and plug in Community Cop, and you can see our past shows.
Powerful
YouTube,
right there.
Community
Live. You
Cop,
doing it live,
you can
brother?
See our shows are live.
Oh, man.
We got
that's
a one-shot deal, brother. We don't say back up the tape and let's cut it again.
Right.
No, it's a one-shot deal.
Yeah, what goes out, stay out there in the
That's it.
atmosphere. That's what's up.
That's it.
Oh, man, I want to thank you for taking the time to come see me once again, my brother. I appreciate you, love you. And, you know,
Respect you too, brother.
whenever I come to Brooklyn, I'm calling you. Yo, brother, I'm coming out there, brother. I
Yes,
need your
sir.
support, brother. I need
And
you to stand with me,
glad
brother.
that you've already reached out to Sister Imani's family.
Yes.
And people need to know that because
Yes.
I said we were out there, but you've already made contact.
Brother, I wish
them.
you would have called me when you was out there. I didn't even know you was out there.
Brother, we'll do that the next time.
You was out there this Sunday too, right? Last Sunday.
No. That was Straight
Okay.
Black Pride and others. But I made sure to make this one, and was
Okay.
part of the organizing this one.
Right.
And the thing is, we're going to continue this. We're not going to stop.
Yes.
We're going to go to the courtroom.
Yeah, we're talking
make
about
sure-
the young 8-year-old girl that was molested by her father, who was a pastor. That's what we're talking about right now. Go ahead,
So
brother.
we're going to make sure that when there's a court date, and this is what I told the family, I said, be very careful. When there's a court date, you're going to have the church members who are loyal to that pastor. They're
Right.
going to pack the courtroom.
Oh yeah,
But we have to be in there also. And then after the court, after the session is over, we have to go right outside the courtroom or go downstairs to the street and let it be known we're here to make sure he gets prosecuted to the full extent of the law, because they'll have the impression that everybody is backing that pastor.
right.
Because you
Yeah.
can't discern that, and the judge needs to know that he better be heavy-handed when it comes to sentencing this guy, because we don't want people to think that everybody's supporting him and that he can get away with it under the power of being clergy.
Oh, thank you, my brother Savage Reese, for putting that link in the chat room. Your link. They put it in the chat room so they could find it. You know what was bothering me too? As this was going on, since she was an 8-year-old little girl, I was saying to myself, has she been going to the hospital? Because the doctor he should have seen something.
I'm
You know,
glad
as they
said that.
doing,
They
they-
noticed her
you know.
behavior.
No, I'm
can
talking
change.
about her body though. If her father been molesting her,
yeah.
like he must have been keeping her from going to the hospital, from getting these
Yes,
checkups.
Yes.
You know, she
Yes.
probably been going to get little routine stuff like
Yeah.
dental work and
Yeah.
But I'm saying he really been keeping this young baby from
Yes.
getting regular routine checkups on
Yes.
her body, because they would have been saying, "Oh, hold on, something
Right.
ain't right here."
Right.
You see, they would have saw it. You know,
That's powerful, brother. We
Yeah.
didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
I gotta bring that to their attention. Brother.
Yeah, man.
I
So
gotta-
she really got to
I'm
go and
glad
get a
that's a
real
good
good
point.
checkup now, man.
That's a
You
real
know?
good point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, my brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. You already know what it is.
Thank you.
Peace and
stay
Black
strong,
Power.
brother.
Black
Stay
News
strong.
102. We out of here. Go and check out my brother, Michael Graves, at the Community. Say it again.
Community Cop, Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
There you go. And the link is right there. Click on that link. Go subscribe to his channel. And we out of here. Peace and Black Power, family. We love y'all.
Sonetta TV. Sonetta TV, yeah. I wanna listen to see. Oh, I wanna listen to Sonetta TV. Yeah, you gotta tune in, y'all. Tune in. Sonetta TV. Sonetta TV, yeah. I wanna listen to see. Oh, I wanna listen to Sonetta TV. Yeah, you gotta tune in, y'all. Tune in.
Subscribe. Sonetta TV. 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 You will open your third eye tonight. Subscribe to the House of Consciousness.